Hello, and welcome along to the stream tonight. Don't actually know if I've got anybody watching, but that's perfectly fine. I'm a little bit later than I was intending to be tonight. I put my hands up. I clicked go on some updates, operating system updates, that I thought would take not as long as they did, but unfortunately, yeah, we had a delay. It was meant to start at the top of the hour, so now it's quarter past. Never mind though, we'll move on. So yeah, tonight's the first stream that I've done in a long time. I don't actually know if it's working properly, but I guess I'll just wait and see, and we'll watch the recording, or I'll listen back to the recording at the end. The reason that I'm doing a stream tonight is because Pascal on the Cake team, I was going to say he shouted at me, but he didn't shout at me really. He made a suggestion that it was about time that I shipped a new version of Cake.Recipe. So if I go up here and let's just open up Cake Contrib. Am I even logged in? Probably not even logged in yet. Yeah, I'm not logged in. So let's see if we can't get signed in. I shall pull this down here a second just while I get signed in. So yeah, Pascal pointed out that it's been a while since we shipped a release of Cake.Recipe, and he has been working through a number of updates to some add-ins that he maintains, and he was looking to get things updated to a newer version of Cake as he was doing that. So he wanted to use Cake.Recipe to do that build, but obviously he was not able to because it hasn't been updated in a long time. So what I said to him was, I pretty much think it's ready to go, but I haven't looked at it in a long time. But what he's been doing is he has been using the alpha version of Cake.Recipe that is available. And he's not had any issues with that, aside from the need to remove any usage of Dupe Finder tool. But that makes sense because the Dupe Finder tool, we've removed that from within Cake.Recipe. The reason for that is that that tool has been deprecated by JetBrains, so it's not there anymore, or it's not. You'd have to use a very old version in order to make use of it. So what we'll need to do is I'll need to make a new page on the updated upgrading documentation, which is for upgrading from version 2 to version 3, similar to what we've got here. It won't be quite as long in terms of documentation because there was quite a big jump between version 1 to version 2. But looking at the notes or looking at the issues that had been associated with the 3.0 milestone, there was quite a few of them. It was mainly around updating the newer versions of the add-ins. So Cake.Getter, coveralls, transifex, appver, all of these add-ins have been updated and shipped to a new version. But really the only thing that I noticed that was a breaking change was the removal of usage of Dupe Finder. So we will need to record that in the notes, but we can go forward from there. So I think I'm just going to ship it. And if it doesn't work, we'll blame Pascal. Pascal has already said that he's happy with it as is. And speaking of the devil, Pascal's in the chat room. So I'm assuming, Pascal, you can be the person to confirm everything is okay in terms of sound. You can hear me okay. So what Pascal's pointing out there is that yes, we would need to update the documentation to say that the new required, stroke recommended, stroke suggested version of Cake to use with Cake.Recipe will be getting bumped. So at that, the recommended version will be the 1.3.0 version of Cake, which is what Cake.Recipe uses to build itself. And then there's already an open PR to bump to the version 2 of Cake, but that would be in the 4.0 release. Let's get the 3.0 release out the door first. But yes, absolutely right, Pascal. Bump the documentation to say that the recommended version of Cake is that. And move forward from there. So I'm just going to ship it then, Pascal, because everything, when I looked earlier, everything that had been associated with the 3.0 milestone was closed off. So I'm going to generate some release notes. I'm going to see if the build works and update some documentation. And for projects to update, they of course also need to consider all changes coming with Cake 1.x. That's true, yes. So just to what Pascal's saying there in the chat room is obviously. So okay, let's start again. So Cake.Recipe was built against, or recommended version of Cake to use with Cake.Recipe 2.0 was 0.38.5. If you tried to use a newer version of Cake, you would get build warnings, build errors. So obviously, the Cake project has gone from 0.38.5 to a 1.0 release, and then more recently we've gone to a 2.0 release. So the first major version was our opportunity to kind of draw a line in the sand, and if there was any breaking changes, put the breaking changes into that 1.0 release. Same thing with the 2.0 release. So if you are using Cake.Recipe, then there may well be some breaking changes in Cake itself. So by going from 2.x of Cake.Recipe to 3.x, you're going from a pre-release is the wrong term. You're going from a 0.x version of Cake to a 1.x version of Cake, a major version there. So just something to think about. And one of the examples that Pascal's pointing out is that in terms of the options that get passed into Cake, we've gone to a dash target rather than dash target. So our earlier versions of Cake was a little bit more lenient in terms of how it accepted arguments being passed into it, but the newer versions of Cake are much more strict in the sense that they'll use dash for any option stroke argument that is a word, and a single dash for a single letter, and then you'd be able to combine those if you needed to. So a little bit more strict in that regard. So obviously, like I say, look at the release notes for Cake itself and for Cake.Recipe, and put them all together and see if you can move forward with it. So, all of that being said, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to generate release notes. I'm going to see if the build works. And if the build works, we'll ship it. Now, it's entirely possible that the build is going to fail because of API keys and various other things that haven't been updated, because it has been a little bit since I've done a release. So it's entirely possible that API keys have expired, etc. But we're going to go for it. But as Pascal's pointing out, there is a note there for documentation on Cake itself. So if you are going from 0.38x to 1.x, there is some documentation. So let me see if I can grab that and bring that onto the stream here. Dang it, no I can't. Let's just go to the docs then. cakebuild.net. And if I go to the docs here and getting started, then upgrade instructions. So there's a similar page here. So if you're going from, I'm going to zoom down the way. Oh, am I looking at the wrong section? Oh no, it will be in here. Yes. So in 0.38x to 1.x, there are notes in there in terms of what was moved around, what was changed, etc. Jericho has joined the chat room as well. Hello, Jericho. How's it going? Good to see you. Good to hear from you. And Pascal is saying that the API key should work. Okay, so on that basis then, I am going to attempt to run my build.ps1 with the target equal to release notes. And if that works, it should generate us a set of release notes ready to ship. And if that works, one, I will be slightly impressed, surprised, And if it does, then we'll move on to the next step. Because it's entirely possible that I don't have the right API keys on this machine. And by API key, I mean personal access token, in order to... Ooh, it did create it. Look at that. Okay, so that worked. Okay, success so far. So if we go to our releases here, then we have a draft 3.0 release that includes 39 issues. Oh, there's 2 breaking changes. Okay, so we do have those marked explicitly, both support for Cake 1.0, which is what Pascal mentioned in the chat room, and the one that I mentioned, which was the use of dupe finder. We added the ability to skip pushing duplicate NuGet packages. Fine. There's a few bugs, and then there was a raft of improvements, most of which were updating the add-ins that are contained within it, and then some documentation changes as well. That to me looks good. So in which case then, so let's do git checkout master. What was the file that was changed there? Ooh, has it been a long... Is it? Oh, hold on. Why is the source folder new? What happened there? Change something? So it's source folder there, and then on the master branch. Oh, I remember. That was Nils. Nils changed that. So in the develop branch, what Nils did was he switched Cake.Recipe, rather than being a collection of just loose cake.cake files in a content folder, he added a source folder that contained a csproj file, and then that csproj file contains the content folder. So all the work of creating the NuGet package is done with the .NET CLI now, rather than calling NuGet directly. And there's some benefits from that approach for all the new things that you can add in terms of the metadata, etc. So it was Nils that did that, and that's why I was confused, because it's saying there's a new source folder compared to when I switched between the release branch and the master branch, and I couldn't remember why that was, but that all makes sense. So now if we do a git merge of the release branch into here, that should all work. Let's just have a quick build, make sure that everything is still building after that merge. Then I'm going to try and remember where we are going to push this from. So if you look at here, then it looks very much like the build is still coming from at there. It's entirely possible that there are builds happening on GitHub Actions. There are builds happening on GitHub Actions, but I suspect that the actual build, i.e. what's going to get pushed to NuGet, is on at there. Let's have a quick look over here. On the wrong one. Here. And look at Cake.Recipe. Doesn't bode well. That doesn't bode well at all. Okay, back to here. Some of our pull requests failed. Not worried about that yet. Okay, so the local build worked. So let's do a git push upstream. Push that up to GitHub. And we'll do a git push origin. So if we look at the actions here, then it kicked off a build there off the master branch. Then over here, I suspect there'll be a build over here of the master branch, which there is. Good. So far, so good. So we need to wait to see if that's going to succeed. How is the release, or the new release of Cake.Issues going, Pascal. I saw numerous notifications which indicated that you were doing some active work on Cake.Issues, which is good to see. And it did spur me into doing the stream tonight. I haven't done a stream here for a good couple of months now. Mainly been busy with work and other home related stuff, and I've actually not really been in the mood to do a stream. But when I saw you doing a bunch of work on Cake.Issues, and then I saw Nils doing a bunch of work today, or was it yesterday, on the Cake.Rider plugin, it's like, yeah, I should go and do some work. Pascal's saying there's at least beta versions out for most add-ins for Cake 2.0. That's good. That's good to see. Very good to see. Pack, getting there, uploading artifacts, reading issues. That looks very much like it's getting to the end. Okay. And then in our GitHub Actions build, building in all the places. At some point, we may want to switch over to using GitHub Actions as the preferred CI provider for Cake.Recipe, but assuming it all works, there's no immediate need to change. Pascal's also saying that there's still some more bugs to be worked out with Cake.Issues, the next release of Cake.Issues. This got to... Oh, it's doing the documentation build, of course. So we haven't actually changed any docs in... Or maybe we have. We need to change some more docs and get the documentation updated. But I'm planning on doing that once we get the release out. I just want to get it out the door to say that we've done it and it's available, and then I'll follow up with a little bit of docs tonight. If I don't get it all done, I'll finish it off during the week. I understand that this is causing a little bit more work for you, Pascal, because I saw that you're using the alpha version in lots of places. But it's all good. It's all good. Okay, that's it at the end. I'm assuming that... There we go. Okay, so build succeeded. So that was the build of the master branch all succeeded. The build over here has worked on at least the Ubuntu machine. So on that premise, I'm going to go back over to Cake.Recipe, and I'm going to go down to this release, and I am going to publish it. So it's targeting the master branch. It's going to be tagged with 3.00. Just do it. I'm going to do it. I've done it. Okay. So that should kick off another build over here, which is the same build essentially, but it's got a tag. And at this point, if we go over to NuGet.org, look for Cake.Recipe. Then the last version, 221, was a while ago, over a year ago. Where has time gone? So that was quite a respectable number as well, to be honest. 42,000 total downloads. I'm okay with that. I mean, it's a fairly niche thing, but we are now using a variant of it for almost all the builds in Chocolatey. There's some fairly specific Chocolatey related build stuff, but we do have an equivalent package, which is and naming is sometimes hard, but it's also sometimes amazing. We've obviously got the Chocolatey Cake recipe, because why wouldn't you? So it's now actively being used across both our open source. I was going to say applications, open source applications products, as well as some of our internal ones as well. So it's been exciting to see that getting built up. So we have both the Cake.Recipe and the chocolatey cake recipe. And yes, I did make that name up. I'm okay with that. Build is proceeding. And if all goes well, we should have 3.0.0 at some point. So it's telling us that 3.0.0 was not found, but as soon as that package gets pushed, this will go to a 404. I don't fully understand why that happens on NuGet.org, but we'll see it happen. Because it's correctly telling me that 3.0.0 doesn't exist, but now it's going to a 404, which means that it has pushed it, and it's now indexing it. But why it changes from, I don't know about you, to a 404, don't quite fully understand what happens there. So now it's updating all the GitHub issues. So if anyone is subscribed to any one of those 39 issues, they will be getting updated with a link saying that this is now shipped. So this is Git Release Manager in action. And then what we should get is an update to the release itself, where we get the SHAs added. So they added the SHA to the nupkeg. All of this seems to be working. We pick one of these as an example, then it will have been updated to say where you can get it from. GitHub release has been updated. The GitHub release now has the nupkeg in it, so that's good. And then the milestone behind all of this should have been closed off as well. So the milestone's there and it's closed. Okay, so it looks like it's all working. And now it's off doing the documentation change, or the documentation build. So that part seems happy enough as well. And then the indexes is going, the indexing is still happening. So we'll wait for that. And then don't need that. And like I say, once we know that this is shipped, we will go and do some docs just to finish off that side of things. Okay, so it's there. So Cake.Recipe 3.0.0 has been pushed, waiting to be indexed. So Pascal, I don't know if you wanted to go and update one of your Cake.Issues repositories. And see if that starts to pull through. Feed me on NuGet. Ah, that's disappointing. That's disappointing. Okay, so I need to search for 0.34 and 0.38.5. Might need to push out a 3.0.1 to fix the documentation. That's fine. Jericho's asking, speaking of Git Release Manager, has a decision been made to prevent warning from breaking the build on AppVeyor? Short answer is no. Not that it's not happening. No, in the sense that no decision has been made. I have some work upcoming with Git Release Manager where I need to spend a good bit of time invested in it. I don't know when that's going to happen, but it's sounding more and more like I'm actually going to get some work time to do that. So work will be happening on Git Release Manager at some point. So if there's not already an issue, Jericho, can we make sure that that's added so I don't lose track of it? And if there is an issue, if you could ping me on it and make sure it gets added to the next milestone, that would be good. So the NuGet package is all out, the build is finished. Okay, so let's go and get some documentation updated. So I'm going to search in here. No, that's a lie. I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to do a git checkout develop. I'm going to do a git merge OFF from the release branch. I'm going to push that up to upstream. Okay, so the issue's already there, Jericho. Is it associated with a milestone? And if it's not, let's say if you ping me on it, I can get that added to the next milestone so it doesn't get forgotten about. Let's go in here and let's do a search for 038.4 as a starter for 10. So in here, well, that's a lie as well, because that's going to be a 3, because that's the one that we recommend. I think. Yeah, no, that's right. As a minimum, it is recommended that Cake.Recipe should be used in conjunction with the following versions of Cake. 132, I think that's still right. Let's also do a search for 1.1.0. Unless the decision of change the warning works, then so there is an underlying, so it would be good to fully understand exactly what, if there is something that we're doing wrong in Git Release Manager where it is piping output to standard error when it shouldn't be, there's an underlying thing there that we might need to validate to make sure that we're doing something that we shouldn't be. But if it's just a case of switching from the warning to an information, then without digging into it much further, and then off the top of my head, that makes sense to me, yes. I would have no immediate objections to that happening. No, currently Cake.Recipe itself is built using 1.3.0, and as a result, there is an expectation that any project that is built using Cake.Recipe should also use 1.3.0 Cake. Using a newer version of Cake may work, but there is no guarantees that it will. Okay, fine. We'll need an issue for that readme change. Issue. So if I go over here, this manager. 4, 3. Able to close milestone. Up there, but it builds locally. Okay, so it's not associated to a milestone. Those milestones are there. So the next milestone is likely to be 0.14.0. So let's, as a minimum, let's find that. Okay, so let me come back with that one. Yeah, I remember this is the part that I was remembering. I'll need to read through this again, Jericho, and remind myself of where we got to with it. Builds are running for updating one of the Cake.Issues repos. Perfect. Perfect. Ooh, it's got the new icon as well. Oh, look at that. The icon switched over to the recipe icon that who was it who did it? It was a Gusto, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a Gusto and Nils. In combination, I think. That's what was going through my head there. Okay, so what we need is a new doc in here that is upgrading, new file, upgrading. Oh no, there is one already. So I already, is that what you were talking about? There is one already, yes. There's a document there that, yeah, never mind. Copy in here and paste. This will be 20 as a starter, upgrading from 1.x, 2.x. Changes and suggestions needed for porting from Cake.Recipe 2.x to 3.x. Sounds good so far. That looks like some good information to bring over. In the 3.0 release of Cake.Recipe, there's a total of 2 breaking changes. As a result, there are a number of 2.x release of Cake.Recipe in order to. As a result, there are only a couple of changes that have to be made to any project that is currently using 2.xx release of Cake.Recipe in order to allow it to start using this release. Beautiful. Okay, then what we said, have a look at this pull request on Cake. Have you got an example of where you ported over? If it's literally just Dupe Finder, then it's maybe not needed, but it might be worth putting a link in there. If you have one, Pascal, that would be good. Perfect, thank you. So we're going to say required changes. Remove any usage of Dupe Finder. If I go back over here, I'm hoping that there was a link to. Hoping that there was a link where it was moved. Look, there we go. Copy link address. JetBrains have made the decision to sunset their Dupe Finder application. All of that in a link. As a result, we are no longer going to support this application used within Cake.Recipe. P. Okay, so I'm going to assume that you're going to find another one, maybe? Another one? Maybe? Even better. This one has the Dupe Finder exclusions removed, but no changes to the build scripts. Okay, so I'll maybe point to them both then. Could I be even more annoying, Pascal, and ask you to put them into Slack? Because I can't get the link easily from what I'm looking at right now. So instead of me typing them out, if you could put them into Slack, that would be much appreciated. And I'll grab them from there. Thank you. Perfect. So JetBrains have made the decision to sunset their Dupe Finder application. As a result, we are no longer going to support this application being used within Cake.Recipe. What other sort of stuff did I say in? I clicked something I didn't want to in there. Let's go here. Okay. So let's go here, and what we'll do is I will require changes. Here. Oh, I'll get there. Copy, paste, switch to using Cake 3.0. That one, that one. Have a look at this pull. We'll say there are a couple of pull requests that can be used to see type of changes that are required when moving to Cake.Recipe 3.x. So we'll put one in here. Cake.Issues repository. Spelled recipe wrong. Cake.Issues code. What we should say is note the above PRs upgrade to an alpha version of Cake.Recipe 3.x.x for now that 3.0.0 of Cake.Recipe is available. Use that rather than any alpha. That covers that. Switch to using Cake.there, and then we said Cake build and red upgrade runner here. This one. Cake.Recipe is now using Cake. As such, we recommend that any build using Cake.Recipe also Cake.Recipe is now being built with 1.3.x of cakes, and as such, we recommend that any build using Cake.Recipe also targets using 1.3.x cake. We recommend that you follow the upgrade instructions for Cake itself to ensure that there aren't any additional changes that you make. And I'm going to put that in here and there. Okay. Cake.Recipe 3.0 worked on my repo, at least on GitHub Actions and on Azure DevOps. Someone is keeping @var busy. Ooh. The fact that it's worked there is a good sign, though. So what other kind of changes would we need here? That was really just required changes. That's kind of, that's related, but I'm going to put it in as well. So it's switched to using there, and then we will mention that we should pin to the updated. So 2.x was pinned to run against 38.4 in order to use cake.there 1.3.0. Just kind of emphasizes the point. You want to link changes in contained Cake.Recipe version, you can point to so Cake.Issues.net. Why can't I find that? Too many S's in, that's why. Cake.Issues.net. Folder. Grab that. So in this, where did we, so if you want to link to changes in contained Cake.Issues.recipe version, you can point to there. So what version did we go to and from? Look at there. Suppose so at the minute, since we didn't. Okay, so let me get my words together. What version of Cake.Issues.recipe did we go to and from in this release? That's my question. Because I don't find an issue explicitly about it. So if I can't find it in there, we went to 132, or it's currently using 132. So where did we go to from? Update cake and issues recipe 762, and that is in there. Okay, fine. 762, and we went in here, and we went between. Oh, we did go from 0.4.3 to 132. Yes, exactly that. Okay, so how will we put wording in there? Copy. Confirm. Cake.Issues.recipe. Not confirm, that's the wrong word. Confirm. Ensure correct Cake.Issues usage. in this release of Cake.Recipe, we have upgraded to 1.3.2 of Cake.Issues.Recipe. If in your build scripts you have extended the built-in usage of Cake.Issues.Recipe, you may need to check the release notes to confirm if there are any additional changes you need to check out. Here. That copy. Fine. Okay. Okay, perfect. Like it a lot. Okay. Is that enough? Or is there more? Do we need more? I think that covers the majority of it, right? I think that covers the majority of the changes. So we covered the removal of dupe finder. I should have probably been more explicit in there. Let's go and have a look at there. Here and say any usage of the parameter will need to be from the recipe cake file as well as the that one dupe finder thing. Okay, and hopefully view documentation. This failure caused by Hey Francis, how's it going? Long time no hear. I am good, thanks. How are you? Why did that fail? YM.tool failed to install. The failure may be caused by you're attempting to install a preview release and did not use the preview, the version option, or there's no internet connection. .NET tool list global. YM.tool. What version are we trying to install? We're trying to install version 229. .NET. .NET, I'll get there. .NET tool install yam.tool dash version 2.2.9. It could be. Let's find out, I guess. There's not enough space on the disk. That's annoying. Why is there no space on the disk? Well, yeah, there's 0 bytes left on my machine. That could be a little bit of a problem. Just a little bit. Let's see if we can't go and fix that. What would be a good one to get rid of? Just temporarily get rid of chef. That was half a gig I saw. Sensibility, let's just get that to soft. That one around a little bit. What's in here? Nothing. Nope. That'll do for now, hopefully. That got us half a gig. Let's try that again then. Let's run the build again then. That was an interesting one. So if this documentation even looks reasonably decent, I will ship it, but we should ship it as a 301, right? Just for completeness, so that the README on NuGet is correct. Let's just see if this looks good on the local preview, and if it does, ship it, and then assuming all of that is right, then there was a bunch of PRs opened on the repository. Most of them are dependabot in action, so we'll need to go through some of those, and then obviously look to getting the next release out, which would support the latest version of Cake, which is 2.2 or something. So work to be done there. So that worked, and it's listening on 5080. So let's grab that in there. The docs that we changed were in the upgrading one, so now there is here. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so we've got switching to Cake 1.3, removing any usage of Dupe Finder, pinned to the updated version of Cake, just to reiterate that, and then ensure correct Cake.Issues.Recipe usage. Oh, there's a typo there. One typo I need to fix. That one. And here was at least one thing that needed to change there. In the 3.0 release of Cake.Recipe, there's a total of 2 breaking changes. As a result, there are only a couple of changes that have been made to any project that is currently using a 2.x release of Cake.Recipe in order to start. There's only a couple of changes that need to be in the project currently used. Yeah, that's fine. There are a couple of example pull requests that can be used to see the type of changes that are required when moving to Cake.Recipe 3xx. That one and that one. The above PRs upgrade to an alpha version of Cake.Recipe. Don't think we need 3.0. Now that 3.0.0 of Cake is available, you should use that rather than any alpha version. Switch to using Cake 1.3.0. Cake.Recipe is now 1.3 Cake, and as such, we recommend build using Cake.Recipe. Also targets using Cake. We recommend that you follow the upgrade instructions for Cake itself to ensure that there aren't any additional changes we need to make. JetBrains tries to sunset their Duke Finder application. As a result, we are no longer with the application. This application being used in Cake.Recipe. Remove any usage of the should run Duke Finder parameter. Any usage of the show Duke Finder should run Duke Finder parameter will need to be removed from the recipe.cake file, as well as the Duke Finder exclude patterns setting. Cake.Recipe was in to run against version Cake in order to case 1.3. Okay, I'm going to say that that is good to go. Francis saying, not bad, busy at work, busy at home, so not been online to see you. I've not been online either, man. This is my first stream back in literally months. Combination of work, children, work-life balance. Not so much that. That's not true. And a combination of just being busy at work, kids, and general life being busy. Not really being in the mood. I was saying that at the start. I've not really been in the mood to do anything. Whereas before I would have been doing some sort of open source stuff every night, every other night. I just haven't been bothered to do it. I'm not going to say that I've been burnt out. I don't feel burnt out. I've just not been in the mood. I've been doing Lego instead, of all things. I've been buying and making lots of Lego. Helps with the fact that we were down to Legoland Windsor for a holiday, and I bought some more kits while we were there, so that was great. Thoroughly enjoyed Legoland Windsor. I don't know if you've been, Francis, but it was great. We loved it. I loved it. Kids loved it. Wife thought it was okay, but it was great fun. It was great fun. So let's do this. I'm going to say that I can finish that preview. I can do git ex here, and we will do while that's loading, let's do a git checkout -b hotfix. What did I say it was? 3.0.1 from master. I'll get there. Do that, and so look up here. Changes, we don't need those. Set those. That was the README. That was I think file 461 dated. So let's create an issue. So let's go over here and here. New issue. Update spec information with correct page versions. Keg. 3. Keg. Pushed. NuGet.org as in information with regard version of Cake. That go find myself, say that that's a bug. I'm going to say that this needs to go out on the 3.0.1 milestone. And let's go ahead and create an issue. And then that's 894. Back to here. And then Francis is talking Lego, so I'm going to have a little moment. No, haven't been. Sometimes you ain't in the mood. Yeah, look, absolutely. I did fancy the Apollo rocket or the McLaren F1 car. So the ones that I bought, Wasn't either of those ones. Although I was looking at the IIS. I thought that one was a pretty cool set. I ended up buying the Pyramid at Giza, a great build, and the Optimus Prime one, which is also a very cool build. Although having now built the Pyramid at Giza, I have been Bruce. If you remember Bruce, he sent me a alternative build of the same set that allows you to construct an entire pyramid, because the set that you get, the out of the box instructions, it's actually only half a pyramid, but the top half lifts off to give you it would be easier just to show you. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. There's a slight detour. Let me find the mock that he showed me. Thinking about it. I'll find the URL. I'll get open preemptively. Taking its own sweet time. Here we go. Where would it have been? Here. So I'll show you two sets that you may be interested in. That's the first one. Copy this. I'll paste this over here. So the first set, it's Johnny 5. You obviously remember who Johnny 5 is, but you buy this bulldozer set, Technic set, and it has all of the bits that are necessary to build Johnny 5, which is pretty cool, right? And the other one is, let me bring this up. It's sort of hard to explain, but the Pyramid at Giza, the way that you build the official one is that this white portion effectively sits on top of this bit, and then depending on how you want to display it, you either display it with the white limestone covering, or you display it in the it's being made one. But this alternative mock allows you to have a complete pyramid with half of it covered in the limestone and the other half still being created. It's a pretty cool build. But having just finished doing the build, I didn't really want to rip it apart and do the alternative build. But I'm going to at some point, I think, because having it all on display is pretty cool. Although it does mean that I'll need a bigger shelf, because it only just fits on the shelf as is, and I'll need to get a new one. But that's a different discussion. I'm going to close that. Close some of this stuff that I had open. It's also telling me that encoding is overloaded. Consider turning down. Okay, it's now no longer telling me that. So I'm going to assume that I'm back the way I was before. So if there was any interruption, I apologize. It was the talk of Lego that did it. So 894 was the issue, the documentation issue. So let's get this one updated. This was going to be, I need a symbol. 894 fix docs regarding Cake version. Update to correctly show supported version of Cake for the 3.x Cake.Recipe. Nope again. Go. And then let's do the final three as just docs update. add upgrade instructions for 3.x. That'll do. Okay, so back over here, we should be able to close that issue. And then over here, get status. That should all be done. We'll do a build.ps1 with target of the notes. That'll generate us a new set. And we'll do an almost immediate release of Cake.Recipe. Having not released one in over a year, we've now released 2 in the same evening, so that can't be bad. Beautiful. So over here on Cake.Recipe, then got a 3.01 draft, which is bug. So let's do git checkout master, git merge hotfix, git push upstream, origin, beautiful, git checkout develop, git merge. Getting a little bit ahead of myself, but that's okay. On hotfix, stream, branch, hotfix, the release, back to no idea what those features are. Merged. Merge. 1, 2 is. Okay, we'll leave those. We'll come back to those. Okay, so that's that done. That's that done. Assuming that appver build is still running and that Pascal hasn't kicked off lots of Cake.Issue builds, then it is building. We'll know hopefully quite quickly that it's still working. So yes and yes. So Lars Klint's collection I am entirely jealous of. I pinged him recently. Did you see the thing I tweeted recently about? I should bring that over as well. Hold on. If you haven't seen this already, you need to go and get it, or you need to at least support it. Maybe you already got the required number. Copy. Oh, it's so close. Right. If you haven't done it already, log into lego.com and support This Is Fine Lego kit. It's just amazing. So I pinged Lars recently on this and he liked it. So it needs to get to 10,000 to be like in the running to become an official Lego set. Anybody who's familiar with this meme or has used this meme absolutely needs to get the Lego set that goes with it. It's just funny. So go and click the support button in there. Log in and click the support button. I've already done it. When I came in, it was hovering around the 2,000 mark. So it's progressed a little bit, which is good. So hopefully it will make it. But yes, Lars's collection is phenomenal. Haven't quite got to that level yet, and the wife would not be happy if I even attempted to have something like that. The shelf behind me here is already getting quite busy in terms of the number of Lego kits that it has. So, yeah. Enough said about that. So that one's done. That was a bug, so we can publish this one. And that one will go out the door as well. So that will then mean that newgate.org has the right information, hopefully. And at that point, I think I'm done for the night. I mean, this was kind of an impromptu stream a little bit because it was Pascal that suggested that it needed to be updated, and it did. It's just I hadn't got around to it yet. So if this all works and the build pushes out a new version of 3.0.1, I think I'm going to say that's it for tonight. And I'll go and walk the dog because she'll need a walk. And at that point, I can start then looking at the next upgrade, which would be the 4.x release, which would upgrade to a newer version of Cake and updating all the tools that go with it. So I don't know if Jericho is still around, but there will be an update of the tooling that matches the supported version of Cake. Hopefully we'll have to go through that process, make sure that we're using the latest add-ins of all the bits. And if those add-ins aren't available, we'll need to update the add-ins first to then bring them back over into Cake.Recipe. But if we could play catch up a little bit and get Cake.Recipe to a point where it supports 2.x, that would be good. Also, it would mean that the reciprocal work in the chocolatey cake recipe would hopefully be easier, because there would then be an example of how to get all the bits updated. So fingers crossed on that one. But let's just wait for this to finish. I'm gonna say I don't want that running. So Pascal's saying in chat that if we do get to that stage, then he's feeling pressure to get Cake.Issues updated, because one of those add-ins that need to be updated would be Cake.Issues. So yes, you need to get on it. Although I'm not. So I've got other things that I've committed to this week. I promised Cake is a Lie that I would look at and merge some of his PRs into Chocolatey Choco this week. So that's on my to-do list for at some point this week. And then I would like to get back to doing more regular open source work, but it's kind of all dependent on, lots of things. But I've been inspired by Pascal and Nils doing work, so I thought I should chime in, do my bit as well. Start off tonight, start off slowly tonight. Like I say, we might end soon once we know that this build is out the door. But hopefully the start of more regular. In terms of sound quality and stuff, has it been okay on the stream tonight? Has there been any issues, lagging, bad quality, video performance, etc.? Any feedback on that would be much appreciated. I have been tinkering with the microphone, so it would be good to get some feedback on that if anybody's got any while we're waiting here. Okay, so Pascal's saying it's good, like that. Like I say, apologies if you were waiting for me to come online. I decided it would be a good idea to update the Mac just before coming on the stream. And it took ever so slightly longer than I expected it to. So yeah, don't do the 12.5 update if you're in a hurry, because it takes a little bit longer than I thought it would. Jürgen, thank you very much for confirming that was good. because I have got a fan on in the background that's making noises, but I set up the mic to hopefully clip out all of the background noise. So hopefully it is just my voice that you're hearing and not fan going in the background. See, it's all Josh on my team's fault. Well, Josh and James. We've got a new thing installed, and it was nagging at me that there was an update pending. So I thought, oh, it must just be a little one. So I came online, I booted my VM, logged into the VM, started doing a bunch of Windows updates on the VM, thinking, oh, I should get that updated at the same time. And then the Mac said, oh, it needs to be updated. So I'm like, it'll be fine, it won't take long. And yeah, it took a little bit longer than I expected it to. So yeah, don't do it. Don't do it, folks. All the Windows updates worked, and I updated Visual Studio in here before all that worked. But then obviously I got my Mac, the host machine went away, and yeah, it was about 10 past, quarter past the hour before I got back on my machine. Still wait at the phone. Oh, it is. Getting there though. So you might still hear the fan in the background a little bit when I'm talking, but if I'm quiet, you shouldn't hear anything because the background noise of the fan isn't being picked up. But if I were to put the filters off, so let's just do this while we're around. If I were to do this and if I were to turn these things off, then you should start hearing the fan in the background quite a lot. So that's me being quiet there, and you would have heard the fan in the background. But if I turn back on all of the filters and compressors and stuff, it should be back to just me, and then you don't hear the background noise. That's my limited understanding of how OBS works in action there. Followed a tutorial that talked me through how to apply filters. There's a noise gate filter, there's a compressor filter, and there's a limiter filter. And then once you've got all of those things in play, and there's settings along the lines of open threshold, close threshold, attack time, hold time. I don't know what any of these terms mean, but I followed the dude on the tutorial, and the end result seemed like it was a lot better. So I figured I would run with it. And I'm doing the same thing now on our Zoom meetings that we have pretty much on a daily basis. So all the fans and stuff should be filtered out in the same way. That looks like it's at the YAM stage. That should mean that 301 is now in the process of being indexed. It is. And then if all of this works, that should push out a change to the docs. We go over here and look at GitHub pages. Then there'll be a release, there'll be a commit going in there soon. Hasn't already. 10 seconds ago, beautiful. And then in there, it should have didn't have a lot of stuff in it. Oh, because it might have had the master branch in it already. So now if we go over, not there, we go over here to the updated docs on the website. Now we've got an upgrading 2 to 3. Beautiful. Okay. And then that finished. So 301 is there. So that means that the README in here has now got 130. Okay, cool. That is it done then. So I'm going to call it quits for the night. Appreciate everyone coming along to hang out. It was a little bit of an impromptu stream, so I do appreciate you all rocking up. And for now then, I'm going to call it quits. And I will hopefully be back next week, because it sounds like I've got lots of things that I do need to work on. But we'll get there, baby steps. Like I say, I'm getting back into the right place in terms of doing extracurricular work. So hopefully we'll be able to continue. But for now, I'm going to say good night, and I will talk to you all on the internets. Have a good one, and talk to you all later. Thank you very much.